أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So inshallah, we will continue with the verse, and he taught Adam the names, all of them. Just for the record. This is the 20th word, second station, and we've been studying how Quran alludes or talks about miracles of prophets. And again, today, inshallah, we will study, and he taught Adam the names, all of them.
And for example, the verse, and he taught Adam the names, all of them, which says, Adam's peace be upon him's greatest miracle in the question of the supreme vicegerency was the teaching of the divine names. Like the miracles of the other prophets, each allude to a particular human wonder. The miracle of Adam, who was the father of all the prophets, and the inauguration of the office of prophethood, points almost explicitly to the final points of all human attainment and progress, and humanity's final goals. Through the tongue of illusion, Almighty God, may his glory be exalted, is saying with this verse, O sons of Adam, since as a proof of their superiority over the angels and in the question of the vicegerency, I taught your forefathers all the names, you too, since you are his sons and the inheritors of his abilities, should learn all the names, and in your position as holder of the supreme trust, demonstrate before all creatures your worthiness. For the way is open to you to rise to exalted rank, such as holding the highest positions over all beings in the universe, and for vast creatures like the earth to be subjected to you. Come on, step forward, adhere to all the names, and rise. But your forefather was once deceived by Satan and temporarily fell to the earth from a position like paradise. Beware. In your progress, do not follow Satan, and from the heavens of divine wisdom, thus fall into the misguidance of nature, continuously raising your head and studying carefully my most beautiful names. Make your sciences and your progress steps by which to ascend to those heavens. Then you may rise to my dominical names, which are the realities and sources of your sciences and attainments, and you may look to your sustainer with your hearts through the telescope of the names.
Let's start from the beginning, inshallah. And he taught Adam the names, all of them, which says, Adam's, peace be upon him, greatest miracle in the question of supreme vicegerency was the teaching of the divine names. Like the miracles of the other prophets, each allude to a particular human wonder. The miracle of Adam, who was the father of all the prophets, and the inauguration of the office of prophethood, points almost explicitly to the final points of all human attainment and progress, and humanity's final goals. So any idea, comments with the first paragraph? Please go ahead. Okay, it seems like everybody's shy today. So there's one thing I want to maybe attract your attention is, he says, like the miracles of the other prophets, each allude to a particular human wonder. Like the miracles of the other prophets, each allude to a particular human wonder. The miracles of Adam, it also points to something, and then the author explains what it points to. So what should we understand from like the miracles of other prophets, each allude to a particular human wonder? Like we study the many miracles, and how were they alluding to human wonders? Anyone wants to remind us? Faria, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I don't have anything to remind, but whatever's occurring to me right now in terms of this verse that is being shared, or the statement that you shared about the wonders, like the miracles of the other prophets, each allude to a particular human wonder. Really, if I reflect on this, how come I'm endowed with the potentiality to read creation, to express as well my feelings, this human potentiality about reading. So, whatever feelings that we encounter on a moment-to-moment basis, gratefulness, excitement, or mercy, or empathy, right? So it's interesting, just the mere existence of such feelings, even in terms of potentiality. That's I think it's a miracle in itself, which needs to be questioned. Like, how come I'm made to experience that, or how come they're in existence? So, it's a particular human wonder. It's like a miracle, and that's all I wanted to share. Maybe we can open up from here.
Jazakallah khair. Yeah, that was a good opening. Anyone else want to build on that, or make another, show us another path, or just ask questions? Awesome. I'm sure you like it, keeping yourself really to hardly not to speak. You waiting for the time, to share your ideas. It's probably time. Okay, nothing. So it says each allude to a particular human wonder. That's interesting. Like when I first heard that miracles points to human wonder, or the miracles point to what we achieve today, or what we can achieve today. I found it extremely exciting, and it was revolutionary for me because I used to, just listen or read these miracles as extraordinary things that I do not experience or I do not see with my eyes. But then when you start thinking, following the author's methodology, of course, because this methodology is the revolutionary thing, I believe. When you follow this methodology, you see that like Moses hitting his staff to the rock, and we hitting our drills to the earth to extract water. You see the parallel between them. And then, this is just a simple example, but with all these miracles, you see how there are some examples of them, some exemplars of them in our lives, in our time. And when you start looking at that way, they also defines you like a targets, goals. When my Creator, my Lord, tell me in His book that I gave such a miracle to one of my servants, I read it as, if you want, you can also achieve something similar. Or whatever you achieved so far, they are nothing but like miracles. So it puts a link between myself, my life, and prophets came before me. This, again, to me, very exciting. So when we, for instance, study, he taught Adam the names, all of them. I can directly substitute Adam with Abdurrahman, let's say, and say that, ask myself, what kind of names he knows, and what names I can learn from Abdurrahman, right? Or what other names I can be taught, what names I know. how can I, convey these names, or how can I share these names with my friends, with others, and so on. Like, it becomes my reality that I can live in. When he talks about speaking to birds, yes, there are all these metaphorical layers, all these different understanding, different meanings waiting for me to be discovered in the verse. But even if I take it superficially and take it as a bird speaking to the birds, I still take it as a goal for myself that I can achieve, or maybe I'm already achieving it. So I start reframing or redescribing with my own reality with different words. Like when I enjoy the singing of the birds, I realize that I can communicate with them. When one single bird wakes me up every morning, and when he doesn't, I say, "Oh, where's this bird gone?" I start, realizing that, oh, I was talking to the bird, and today it's not there. So communication with the birds, it's already like a part of my life. And according to Quran, this can be cultivated. This can be even improved. So like this allusion to human wonder, I guess it's really important. It says, whatever you're reading, it's about you. It can be about you. Any other comments? Should we continue reading them? Yusuf says something, as usual. Okay. So let me continue reading them. The miracle of Adam, who was the father of all prophets, and inauguration of the office of prophethood. So opening, the starting of prophethood, the root of prophethood, or maybe summary of the prophethood, because in original it says the Fatiha of office of prophethood. And we know that Fatiha is like the opening of the Quran, but it's also a summary of the Quran. It's like a seed of the Quran. So Adam, according to author, is the inauguration of the office of prophethood, points almost explicitly to the final points of all human attainment and progress. So this single miracle encompasses all human attainments and progress. All other miracles that we studied, they were kind of, this is at least what I understand. I might be wrong. Please correct me if so. The previous miracles that we studied, they were alluding a specific, let's say, family of attainments. It was related to a specific aspect of human progress. But he says the Adam's miracle, it points to all human attainment and progress, and humanity's final goals. So maybe previous miracles are, again, alluding to some goals, but I don't know, I'm just thinking aloud, that they were alluding to goals that, we pass through our journey, throughout our journey. But Adam's miracles is like the final goal of all progress, all attainment.
What do we mean, or what do we refer to when we say attainment or progress?
So, great question. I guess we can stop here. So, would you like to repeat the question? Sorry.
Like what exactly does it refer to?
Human attainment and progress.
Human attainment and progress.
So, any ideas about that? what do you understand from human attainment and progress? I'm sure everybody has their ideas. Please don't be shy to share them.
Maybe I'm just asking the same question in a different way. Since all the examples that were discussed before was like always somehow related to some sort of, let's say, technological or scientific advancement. That was one aspect of it, and I think like throughout the discussions there was other aspect that like what that exactly points to or how it relates to us, and so that was also another part of the kind of discussions. So in the specific example, he especially refers to like in the very opening sentence, like you kind of discussed a little bit, Adam's greatest miracle in the question of supreme vicegerency. I think that like that should be underlined, supreme vicegerency. Like his greatest miracle in the question of supreme vicegerency is the teaching of divine names. So he especially refers to divine names. Look, for example, he just doesn't say names. So like advancement or attainment or progress, like how is it supposed to be understood within the context of that opening statement?
Yeah, this is vicegerency, I guess, really important because it itself, the word vicegerency, I guess, somehow have a connection with attainment and progress. Like vicegerency look at the human potentiality that can progress. Right? The human is named vicegerent because she or he can progress in learning names. Fania, please go ahead.
Just to sort of tackle, or my understanding of what Brother Osman asked early on about human attainment and progress. I mean, I think that was mentioned, but let me reiterate a little bit more. Just like I think we touched upon the miracles of the prophets, or we know, or some prophets are known for certain like speciality in a particular field. For example, who was it? Prophet David, who could understand or communicate with creation. I don't know, maybe some other prophets who were, I don't know, had developed or some potentiality on curing maybe the ill or whatever we can make out of it. But like applying this to our context or day and age, you know how you have people specializing in different fields, or even like, you know, like your friends, maybe somebody may be a good, like even, I don't know, I'm just giving an example of school, you know, you have kids work in group. Someone is a note taker because he's very good at note taking. Someone is a presenter because she's very good, outspoken. The other person is going to be the organizer because they're very good at organizing things or keeping everybody intact. So these are human attainment and progress. So whatever you're good at, you have the seed, a potentiality for something. Yeah, cultivate it and make it into ability. Now, here's the catch. The sentence go on saying, and humanity's final goal. So whatever is it that you are doing, as in developing your potentiality, you ought to have a final goal for that, as in what is it that you are developing it for, right? Or are you utilizing it for a meaningful purpose or just for a temporary purpose? So humanity's final goal, to my understanding, would be solving the riddle of what existence in this universe points to. And obviously, the Institute of Prophethood is known to help humanity solve this riddle of existence, right? The biggest questions that we all have. Why on earth am I here? What am I supposed to do with all these qualities that I'm endowed with, and so on and so forth, right? So definitely this institution helps people develop their potentialities into abilities to attain the final goal, which is to get to know or to get to fulfill the purpose of one's existence. That's all I wanted to share for now.
So maybe one point about this attainment and progress. So yeah, we can discuss like what real attainment is or what real progress is for a human being. At the same time, like just the other side of the coin, I guess we can also take it as whatever you see as a progress, whatever you see as an attainment in your life. Do you see how this attainment or progress, look at the names of the God or the divine names, or do you see how this progress or attainment points to a miracle? Okay, we can ask the question from the other side, because like regardless of your state of belief, you always see something as a progress. You always believe that this is an attainment, this is an achievement, this is a progress. And the question becomes, like, do you see the miracle there? Or do you just take it as something that you achieved or some other people collectively achieved? Like, even if you take it as you said, like one aspect was technological and scientific advancements, even if you take it that way and just leave it there, there's still a question which says, okay, we have such a scientific advancement, and what are we going to gain from it? How it will help me with my own problems, with my existential problems, with my fear of death, let's say, with my fear of losing my beloved ones, how it will help me. And there are some false promises saying that, oh yeah, we will cure aging and nobody will die, but everybody knows that this is not technologically, even theoretically, it's like impossible, like everything dies. This is the only thing we know for certain.
Stars are dying.
Stars are dying, yeah. I was reading like a short text from a biology professor or someone. He was saying that, like, I don't understand my colleagues that they are studying such topics about aging and so on. He's not like a believer, at least through the book he was describing himself otherwise. I was like, but I don't understand, like the only thing we know for certain as human race is that death is inevitable. Everything dies. Like whatever you study, even if you study electrons, they will die. All living organisms, they die. Like we don't have any single evidence to follow and base our belief system on it. There's no one single evidence. Everything dies, he says. So anyway, like how all these scientific advancements or technological developments will answer my fear of that. How this progress will help me. Or what names I'm going to see through these divine names, progress, scientific progress. I guess this is also like this methodology author teaches us here. It's also a call for us, especially for people who studying these sciences. I guess 80%, I'm just looking at the people, the names, 80% like of the participants, either studying sciences or arts. Right? The authors also allude some achievements in the art as well. So it's a call for us. It's saying that whatever you are studying, whatever you see as a progress, try to read them as miracles. Try to make a link between what you study and the miracles of the prophets. And also here, I guess in these paragraphs, he says you should see names of your Lord when you study physics, when you study, what was the inertia, the thing we were studying last day. Anyway, when you study laws of Newton, for instance, you should see some names, because he says all progress looks to some names. So it's a call for us. Like you should take it, reverse engineer, and start from your progress and try to find the miracle there. Try to find the names there. So there's also a call, I believe, here, is that whatever you study, again, say it's mathematics, say it's physics, say it's mechanical engineering, neuroscience, whatever, philosophy, arts, you should be able to teach others what you study just using names of your creator. Otherwise, as he was saying last week, you're just wasting your time, just like making parrots to speak. You're just enjoying technology, and you're just enjoying or wasting your time, whatever you study.
It seems like the term vicegerent is like used in Nursi's writings very often, and he brings it up like in this context again. Is it really clear, like to us, like what exactly like he means by that, and how that is related to the divine names?
You're asking heavy questions, Osman. So you should at least help us.
I'm trying to understand the text. No, I mean like since it's a very like it's a Quranic term, and it's also like used like often in Quran as well, I think. So like especially within this context, in this paragraph, what does it really mean? Because like the way that he construct the sentence is telling me that, or at least that's how I understand it, the greatest miracle, you should understand the greatest miracle of Adam in the context of like being a supreme vicegerent. Isn't that kind of how like what the sentence is saying?
Yes.
Before going any deeper, am I really being taught names? Did we talk about this?
No.
And why being taught names how is it related to vicegerency?
I think that's the question. So like what does like vicegerency mean, and what are the names, and teaching them like how is it related within that relationship, like teaching the names like man being the supreme vicegerency or having the position of supreme vicegerency. Because like this is kind of like the concluding example, right, in a way. So like it seems like he tied all the other examples that he discussed before. He's tying all those examples of the prophets to this very last point.
Can it be that in here, maybe since Nursi is placing it after all the previous prophets, generally we take it for granted that, we are proud of man making aeroplanes, we are proud of man producing electric cars, this and that. But now with that, we are now even questioning the very basic ability to learn. Because this is very simple, just learning things, learning names. Making a plane but learning a name is like primary school, even daycare level of things. What's your name to a baby? If a baby can say her name, we say, very good, Aliyah, congratulations.
Before I came here, like she was pointing the the objects. They're looking at the pictures of the objects and showing which one which is.
MashaAllah.
So like, for example, like balloon or like banana or chair. So is that the kind of learning that we are talking about here?
So it looks very.
So like in other words, like God like took like Adam before himself and told him that like this is, you are gonna call this chair, you are gonna call this tree, you are gonna call this like soccer ball.
It looks very primitive, isn't it? I mean, compared to making of a plane or an electric car. Now in this verse it's saying that I taught you the names. It looks very primitive, but I guess it looks primitive because we take it for granted. But this is what makes human human. I mean, being even able to learn that this is balloon is what makes plane eventually. Being able to learn, I guess, the very crux of the matter. But in this verse, being learned is presented in the form of being thought. So I thought you of these. So am I aware of this part of it, I guess? Am I aware that I am being thought and learning is my purpose in here? As if I am made to learn in here. This is what makes human different than animals, different than stones. Given the ability to learn plus being thought. And I am constantly
Being a receiver.
Yeah, and I am constantly being thought. It's not that I am once given this ability and now I am picking things up. I am constantly being thought. So do I see it as such? I guess this, because if I don't take it for granted that I know, but instead I say that I am being thought, then it makes sense. I can become the way I can understand now Weiss-Agency is, I am an agent, a receiving agent. I am not a independent agent that acts on itself. Yeah, somehow initially my father gave me the capital, but from now on, I am flourishing my capital. Or constantly there's flow of money. I am just a observer of what's going on. So this being thought part, I guess, must be underlined. And the way I see it relates to Weiss-Agency is this is the learning part makes me different than the rest of the existence, and we observe that. Humans are learning, animals do not, or other stuff do not. And this is the purpose of my existence, or this is going to open up the doors to purpose of my existence. So if I don't see this part of it, then the existence is just futile, meaningless. Why am I in here? Because the other day we were talking about this memory, for instance. Memory is a lot of things being recorded counter or despite my will. Sometimes I want to forget things, but I cannot. As if, like today, here, I am carrying 33, 34 years of memories on my shoulders. Some of them I want, some of them I don't. So I am thought. So it's not, again, to my will. And I'm going to carry this until the grave. Then comes another question. If I don't see that the purpose in here, I mean, it's like a burden. All those memories can be a burden, a big burden actually. But if I see the purpose in this learning, then I would say, okay, there must be something beyond this grave. Because for 60 years I have been carrying this, despite my will. Am I going to get rid of them if I shoot myself? It would be too easy. So what is the deal about all these learning things?
I think like learning or being taught is important, but at the same time, divine names is like almost like as important as like being taught something. In this again, the author especially says divine names, or that's how it's translated, which is Asma is the original language. So it's for sure that like if we like have like some sort of common understanding whatever the divine name refers to, so there will be a reflection of that, in my own being as a person, and also there will be manifestation of those names in the universe itself. So, and being taught, there may be like many different levels of it. Maybe it really starts with like being taught like all the objects around you, but does it really stay there, or it's supposed to go beyond that? Because that may be an okay understanding for an like 18-month-old kid, but like for 30-some years old, like should we still understand? Should we understand within that like context, or there must be something beyond that? So, and as a vicegerent, you are being taught, but you are being taught the divine names, and whatever they are, has, from the previous discussions, I'm just cutting the corners short, there must be a manifestation of those names in my own being. Practically speaking, like usually all the emotions, that's how I can actually like make it more tangible. All the emotions that I go through in everyday life, trying to tie with what you were saying, are the manifestation of those names, whatever they are. And you also see the same thing in the universe as well. So like there's one, how you say, NFC afaki, it kind of refers to that, but I don't know the English word.
Internal, external.
Yeah, one is internal within your own being, and one is external, which is like kind of what you observe outside of yourself. But through those experiences, it's true that, for example, you learn the name of the book, but at the same time you learn the name of the love, for example, what it really means. But as far as the attainment or progress goes, human attainment and progress goes in the context of having the supreme trust, does the process stop there, or there must be another step that I should use those experiences to reach the divine names or learn the divine names?
So is it like, for instance, when I see something beautiful, I know that it's beautiful. So I'm trying to understand internal, external part of it. So I see a beautiful flower. Likewise, a child see a beautiful flower. The child just finds it attractive. I find it attractive. So there is something in me which appreciates beauty. So beauty is outside, but ability to appreciate beauty is inside me. So I am taught to appreciate beauty.
You have the notion of beauty, which may be considered something external, but like you have also something called, I am gonna say, love, that because you cannot separate the two like from each other. Wherever there is a beauty, there is like yearning for it, and you have something love that is automatically like interacting with that beauty. So that is the human reality, like as far as your daily experiences goes. So how can I use that experience for my own progress and attainment? And that attainment, again, is it something just worldly, or is something that must be beyond that as well? Mm-hmm. Or like saying the same thing in a different way. Whatever the purpose of man on earth must be related to the supreme trust or being vicegerent on earth. And as much as we fulfill that purpose, we make progress in that direction. So like, are we able to like, what's that purpose like for man? Like, what is the ultimate goal? That like you also kind of mentioned that. What is the ultimate goal for mankind? Is it like really like progressing in terms of the technology, coming to a point that like, I don't know, in the last 20 years it's going to a very crazy direction, I cannot even keep up with it anymore. Is that really the ultimate goal or purpose of man? Like, and as much as we attain or we acquire those technological investments, do we really feel fulfilled, and do we really feel that we attain some sort of perfection?
It's usually the inverse, right? as we gain more technology, we feel more unsecure. Right?
Yeah, and
Insecure. Is it unsecure? Insecure.
it makes me more
Insecure.
depressed.
I don't know, like discussion going right, so I didn't want to interrupt.
Because like I think in the next paragraph he's just gonna go more in details like what it really means to, for example, it says adhere to all the names and rise and supreme trust demonstrate before all creatures your worthiness. So like it kind of like it unfolds in the next paragraph more. That's why I guess like the questions were just to kind of help the minds to be.
Before going further with divine names and the next paragraphs, there's one or maybe 2 points that related to what Yusuf said. Like, just even when we look at the very basic of learning or very basic of just naming things, like I call it book. Like this is a book, for instance. So even this ability to name things, or when I see a book, knowing that it's a book, this is one of the maybe the biggest miracle that we carry. Like as you think about it, like I'm sure, yeah, she's here. Ayşenur has much more to say about that. Like when you start studying the mind, the language, or names, or the concepts, or like the things that we use to name something, it's so enormous, it's so complex, it's so like you cannot answer any question once you start questioning. Like how I know that this is book that you're carrying and the other one is so, like you're carrying 2 books. They have different shapes, different colors, but still I call them as books. So if you say, okay, but there are pages, I will bring a Kindle, you will also, again, call it as a book. It doesn't even look like what you are holding. Even if I try to allude these characters, the writings, and Charles will come and to show me an audio book, right? I will also call it as a book. Like, just the fact that I can call things book and I know that there's something there which resembles, looks like each other, shows me my capacity, my potentiality, that I can go beyond things. I can make connections between things. Like just naming itself tells me about, is it divine unity, Wahhabiyat? Wahidiyat, yes, sorry. It tells me about divine unity, that I can unite things. And then I see everything is somehow united. Just the fact that I can call it as book, right? Because I'm not calling the paper as a book. I'm not calling the ink there or the shape as a book. There's something beyond both of them, which is there also for Kindle, for audiobook, or whatever. I have this potentiality. As a human being, if I can name things or make it more like a following Quran's guidance, the fact that I can learn names, not name things, but learn names, tells me that Birkan, you can go beyond things. You can see what they're like, what is behind them. You can see how they are united.
Like, I think what also attracted my attention, the learning process, it's actually passive, right? So you are taught. Adam was taught. Adam didn't learn, he was taught. So it is like, it may be as simple as like knowing, okay, this is a book, and knowing, like thinking that like, okay, like it is me who is like acquiring the knowledge. Even like if you take the learning at that level, even with that, like it's a passive form that you are being taught. It's not like you are not acting on your own, or it's not your own, within your own power to acquire that kind of knowledge.
So it defines relationship between you and your Lord.
That-
So the word Lord now has a weight and has a meaning, like taking care of you, because
That's-
he's teaching you.
That's exactly the point. Like if the main purpose if man's purpose to know God or get to know him, and if the Quran's main teaching is the Tawheed, then this also somehow has to tie with that, like understanding.
The other day we were talking with friends, and somehow the topic come to purpose of life, whatever. And a friend said, it's too much of a deep question. You cannot expect people to ask such questions. Then the friend said, yeah, it's definitely an important question. Then I asked, how about the basic question that we ask a child? What are you going to become when you get old? When you grow, what are you going to become? And we expect children to give answers to this after age 6, 7. Initially, they will say fireman, then they will say doctor, whatever. And as they get older, they will start saying some cool things. I'm going to become a philosopher, whatever. More fancy stuff. So, and this is what ends up being. I mean, the children, since in this society, becoming a doctor is the most important thing. Children are conditioned to become a doctor and study from like kindergarten, study hard. This is what is being pumped to our subconscious. And then we end up becoming a doctor at age 30, 35 and say, what the heck? So what? I mean, was this the purpose of life? Then you realize that, okay, I mean, I am earning money, but life is passing by, I am dying. What's the purpose of life? You ask this question at age 35 for the first time. But this verse is reminding me of this important question and actually providing an answer for that, saying that you are here to learn. But learn what? This is what comes in the following paragraphs. Initially, it says names, and it is, the way I understand is truly names of things initially, which is the crux of learning. But what's the point of learning names of balloon? It is like learning letters. This is how we learn reading, right? First, our teacher taught us A, B, C, D. But in and of itself, learning A doesn't make any sense. Or you use A, B, C, D to learn a book eventually. So learning the names of things lead me to, as a human, learn the purpose in this existence, learning the divine names. This is ultimately what it boils down to. But this is why this verse is, to me, answering this very basic and must be asked question of, why am I here? This verse says, for learning. Your purpose in this existence is to learn. Because if you take it like this, then everything changes. And a bad thing that happens to you, it was meaningless, stupid, why did this happen? The verse says, no, it is for learning. Try to take a message out of it. This is why you went through it. It's not for God is enjoying you having pain, or God is enjoying seeing you dancing, and not this sort of a thing. But it's for learning. This really changes everything.
Actually, like, even though people say, oh, it's too deep to answer, in practical life, actually the culture or the society that we are in already defines that for us. Like, the purpose of man, like, is success, one way or another. And success is measured with money. The more you have, the more successful you are. And why is that important? Why is it important to be successful? Because you want to have a fulfilled life. You want to live it to your like full potential. And that's only possible through money. And so money becomes the means of like securing your own existence. That is the dominant like understanding. But like almost like the sad thing is that, like, for example, like where I work, there are some people like 65 years old, like, and they still don't want to get retired. And I asked one of them, like you are already there at this retirement age. Why don't you get retired and enjoy your life? And the answer was like, he wants to continue working a couple more years to make more money for the retirement. I'm like, you're already 65. Like you don't have much time left to enjoy your life. I didn't tell him that, but do you see the irony? Like, and it is very sad that like the people do not even realize that, or maybe they do, but they just don't express. I don't know.
The thing that you didn't told the guy, Yusuf's boss told my boss. She said, "Are you waiting to die to go?" Like they were talking about some place to visit. My boss was talking to Yusuf's boss. And she said, like, it's a very great place, you should go there and so on. And my boss said, "Oh, okay, probably I will go when I retire."
How old is he?
No, he's not that old, but still.
So he's not close to retirement yet.
No, he's not close to retirement. He's not even considering. So she said, "You should go now. Like, don't wait until you're, that bad."
So, like, the purpose of man is defined by the society already, and whether we know it or we are aware of it or not, it is already defined for us.
And this is practically, we expect a 6-year-old to answer this question, and this is how we define it, right? Implicitly, the question of what are you going to become when you grow old is already injecting this idea that you should be successful. But if we ask the same question, what are you going to do with your life, to a child 6-7-year-old, it's considered a heavy question.
Like,
and it's a silly question for a child, because child is already enjoying the life. It's like, what should I do with my life?
Child can answer it, but they can answer it. So how can you not answer it when you are, let's say, 30? I guess it's not even like a real answer. Like when people say that, "Oh, these are too deep questions," everybody, like without an exception, everybody asks these questions and then answers them, explicitly or implicitly. Otherwise, you cannot live. Like without having a goal, false goal or right goal, doesn't matter, you cannot live. Everybody tries to achieve something. Like whoever told you that, it's a deep question, I'm sure he or she was trying to achieve something in, let's say, academia, right? But everybody asks these questions and then answers them. Sometimes not, like loudly. Sometimes they do not articulate, or we do not articulate. We always ask them. We all, just like, when we talk about worshiping, for instance, it sounds like, we're talking about something so extreme or so deep or whatever. Every moment we ask the question, whom to worship, and then we answer this question. Whenever I am sick, I try to find some medicines. That means I have a question in my mind, what or who will give me my health, and I also have an answer to this question already. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to look for medicines. I wouldn't know what to do, for instance. Just because I can walk on the street, that means I have some questions in my mind and I'm answering them constantly. There are two questions, there are two comments. One from Mohammed Said. He says, how do you connect being able to name the things to being able to go beyond them? Birkan, it's me. Birkan, would you like to detail it a little more? He says. And then Ayşe Nur, she says, I'm wondering the same question. She's probably just kidding because we all know she knows a lot about such topics. So what I mean, Mohammed, it's not even, maybe I'm making it too complicated, I'm sorry for that. It's so simple, like when you have, let's say, the one book, another book, like all different shapes, all different colors, some of them have thick pages, some of them have thin pages, whatever. and then I give you an ebook, and then I give you an audio book. Like you will know them, you will know that they are all called books. But how you can name all these different things with the same name? What makes you name them with the same name? How can you do that? It shows that you're not stuck with the paper you see. You're not stuck with the color or the shape you see there. You're not stuck with whether you can turn the pages or you have to touch the screen. Or you're not stuck with whether you listen them or read them. That means you are going beyond them. There's a utility of, let's say, the things that you have in front of you, which is the same utility, and you can see that this shared quality in them. There is something behind them which links them together, right? And you can see that as a human being. Just like you see a mother milking her child. Is it a verb, milking?
No.
No?
I mean, not for mothers.
Oh.
Eating.
Child is milking mother.
Okay. Okay. Learning, right? That's the purpose. Feeding the mother, feeding her child, you see mercy there. And then my friend have, let's say, aching back, and I start making massage to him. You see mercy there. There is nothing similar, right? Or you see a kitten milking her mother. Is that the right way to use?
No.
Milking is like milking the cow.
Oh, okay. Still learning. Iterative. You see the same thing with a cat and...
I think they call it latching, right? Just for the learning purpose.
So anyway, like I guess you got the idea. Like all these different things, seemingly different things, you can still see the mercy behind all of these. That means you are not stuck with the apparent look. You can go beyond them and see the mercy behind all of these. So this is, I guess, like an extreme capacity of human being. It's not something to take light. Because it's points, I will use the same term, like it's again a call to see the divine unity behind everything. Like when I see a book, the book tells me, Birkan, just like you can see bookness in me, you should see the createdness or the creatorship in everything.
So, to make it a little bit practical maybe, and since most people in here, I mean, all of the people have a background in Quran and Islam. So, let's say we say God is merciful. How do we say that? As you were giving the example of, we see the patterns of mercy being manifest all over the place. As you said, one is while making massage, the other one is a cat-kitten relationship, or another one is fruit versus tree sort of relationship, all different sorts of manifestations of mercy, which I say that it is the same mercy I am seeing all over the place, so there must exist merciful. Merciful is the name that I arrive. How did I arrive to this? I saw the same thing everywhere, and all of them were mercy. So I was saying, okay, I know what this is mercy. I know what this is, it's mercy. So, and when I abstract one level up, say that the mercy is a global truth, which is being manifest everywhere in different shades and colors, but it is mercy. So where you started with is actually saying that my ability to name things or abstract things, if you like, because naming is sort of an abstraction of the material entity itself. So being able to abstract things and naming them allows me to arrive to the merciful.
Exactly.
Extracting the
So
notion.
that's become really exciting. Like then the verse also says, like we taught Adam all the names. It means you can reach me, right? Because we taught you how to do that. You can reach me. You can reach to the merciful one.
Adam is being the first human being on earth or in paradise. It also like alludes to the fact that like man is created with the potentiality, with all the potentials to extract those names, like as the example of like mercy or compassion or love or power, wisdom, justice. So we have the or we are created, we are made with the faculties or potentialities to recognize those notions. So you experience, you observe the like relationship, but and also in yourself you experience some sort of emotion. That's why I mentioned earlier, and through that you extract the notion of love or mercy, which is an immaterial, non-physical being. And the question is, how are you going to explain the existence of that, which is going to take you to the, you were like pointing the unit all the time. So like, how are you going to explain that notion? And that takes you to the, which is beyond the material existence itself. I think that's how I understand when you say you go beyond the book. So that takes you beyond the book itself to a notion of knowledge, for example, that refers to or points to the one who is the giver of like the existence of that knowledge. And then it becomes like an way of like for men to start taking baby steps to getting to know the creator, like in different names, in different from different perspectives, through different experiences, to start having that kind of like establishing that kind of relationship and understanding him from all different angles with different names. And that is the way that I understand like what the attainment or progress is. Not neglecting the fact that like the technological advancements may be part of it, because you cannot really get out of the creation. That is your, if you like, lab, that you must use it. I think that's why like it also takes the, what was the word Ayşenur was using? Dichotomy, dichotomy. This understanding, I think that takes that dichotomy away, because usually we kind of have the understanding that science is science and like religion is religion. Here, actually, author establishing the religion based on, I'm not going to say scientific, but he establishes the religion on the basis of the observation and experiential methodology, I should say. I couldn't find another word to express it.
Yeah, and I guess an important part in here is also all of them, names, all of them, because if we take it also as being able to understand some names, because in the story, like in the narration of the story in Quran, angels are saying that we don't know what other than what you taught us. But for the case of Adam, Creator says we taught Adam all names. So it looks like it means human can interact with all the things in the existence, meaning that all the names that are being manifest in the existence, human has the potentiality to interact with it. But for example, if you look at the periodical table, like the chemical, elements. So there are some elements which only get into reaction with this other type of elements. There are some elements which doesn't have any reaction with anything else at all. So the only thing it knows of is, like, for example, carbon. I'm not a chemist, but it's good with oxygen. It knows oxygen.
Find another one. Hydrogen, oxygen.
Hydrogen and oxygen. I know this better.
Because carbon goes along with very different items.
So, but it doesn't go with everything, though. There is this one column in the periodical table which doesn't get into reaction with any other element whatsoever. So that means it doesn't know. For it, the existence of other materials doesn't matter. So, but for human is given a capacity to interact with everything or be cognizant of everything. So in this case, maybe we can also understand that part of the story, saying that angels say, we don't know except what you taught us. But human is taught everything.
When you put it that way, like, it may sound very heavy. Like, is it like, because when you say like a human can do everything, then the question comes to my mind, I cannot do it. And what am I going to do? Like, do I have to work harder? Like, am I lacking something? But the mercy in verse, the Creator or the Lord doesn't say that Adam was able to know all the names. Because it was that way, putting all the weight on my shoulders.
Must be so.
Sorry?
It must be so.
Yeah. Like, he was able to. Oh, Birkan, you are not? Right? Making this comparison with my friends, with my family, whatever. Like, am I lacking as a human being something because I cannot see the names? But the Creator says, we taught Adam all the names. It's more, let's say, a lovely relationship.
I think, like, again, like, I don't think it, or at least that's not how I understand it. It is not an, what's the word? Like operation, like not operation, like from outside, like somebody makes you do something. What do you call that?
Forcing?
Yeah, like it's not a very forceful way saying that, like, see, you have like this potentiality you must achieve. It's rather like, are you aware of yourself, like how important you are, that you have such potentiality? Are you really using it?
And you don't, like,
it's more like an invitation.
You shouldn't rely on yourself. If you try to rely on yourself, you cannot shoulder them. But the verse says, rely on me, I will teach you. Just like I taught him, I will teach you. So you don't have to be scared. You don't have to be upset because, you don't like your current state, let's say, in life. Just because people talking about all this mercy, the beauty, and so on, you cannot see it. Don't feel discarded. Don't feel alone. It's us that we will teach you. So this, like a teaching, it's, I guess, so important, and learning. It's a lively relationship with your Lord. It's not that something given to you at one point and then you have to use them. You have these, we use this potentiality or capacity a lot, but it shouldn't sound as if, we are given a package and now we're trying to unfold it from time to time. We will, achieve one thing and then another thing and then another thing. Creator said, no, I will teach you on the way. Like, I will show you the beauty, and then I will make you be attracted to the beauty. And then I will show you the mercy. I will show you the wisdom. I will show you the justice.
It might be a little bit of a tangent, but since the idea is fresh. So looking at life as a learning changes everything so much that, so let's say, today I was talking to a friend, and he's from the similar background from Turkey. So I was giving the example of a university entrance exam studying book. it was a very tough mathematics book. So, and when I named the book, he said, "Oh, this gıcık," I don't know how to translate it.
Irritating.
Irritating book, he said. I said, yeah, this irritating book. So the book was from ÖYS days. Let's put it this way.
Old
It
days.
was really hard.
He's referring to national exams. Okay.
Yeah, but national exam, and it was really hard. And this book was for preparing to this exam. So students automatically hate this book because it's very hard. It's putting some questions from the Olympiads, not even forget about the exam itself. So very tough questions. But in those questions, some questions are really tough because the options are resembling each other so much. So you know that one choice is right, 4 choices are wrong. But if you cannot solve the problem, it's like, hey, you get very angry with it and say, why are you making this torture to me, sort of thing. But once you learn how to sort out what is right, what is wrong, then you start appreciating the book and even the choice of wrong choices. You say that the question is very well designed. Because now you understand that the purpose of this question is to teach you something. Right answer was perfectly designed, but also the wrong choices are perfectly designed to teach you well what is right answer. So even the wrong answers becomes good for you, and wrong choices. Initially, the question altogether is a troublemaker for you. But then even the wrong answers becomes right or beautiful, let me put it this way, because now your perception of question totally changed. It's not a torture for you, it is a teaching device for you. Likewise, in life, there are things happening to us. And let's say an accident happens or some family problem happens. And there are 5 options how you can evaluate what's happening to you. There is one, because the thing that I'm going through is the problem, is the question. And 5 choices that I am going to circle out. One of them is a right choice, which makes sense. I mean, when I understand this choice, I say, now it makes sense. Now it's worthy to live this. This happens, right? You go through some hardship, and after you understand what it was for, you say, oh, no matter. I am happy that I went through it because by that I learned it. So this is the right choice. But there are 4 other options which are alternative interpretation of the same event. So, and all of them in reality doesn't make sense. So if you choose, for example, a car accident, an option to this one is, oh, this stupid drunk guy come and hit you. There are such stupid people on earth. This is the purpose. So you say, I didn't need to go through that to learn that there are stupid people on earth. So
I know myself.
one small addition, like you go through the example actually is a good one. But like if it's a book, you can skip the question if you don't know the answer. But life itself, there's no such option. So it's very interactive. So unless you give the right answer, you are not allowed to jump and move on to the next question. Once you realize the purpose of that experience, then since the purpose is fulfilled, the question is lifted.
Yeah.
And then the new question comes.
Next.
So if you are being tested with the same thing over and over again, if the same question comes up all the time, it means that you just can't constantly keep choosing the wrong answer.
Yeah. So but if I take it as a learning experience and start choosing the right answer, then the experience itself totally changes. Now the book is not my enemy. Now the wrong choices are even good now because it's perfectly designed to teach me something. So in a way, evil disappears if I look at it like this. But initially the book was an evil book for me. Math class, high school, secondary school, people hate math class. But once you figure out what it means, where it is leading you to, then everything in that class becomes joyful for you. So this is why problem of evil, question of evil, initially it is certainly evil for me. But once I start giving this answer or convinced that my purpose in here is to learn, and all those questions are really designed to teach me, then what I used to call evil becomes a beautiful teaching experience.
There is one comment from Ayşenur. She says, even the best teachers have terrible students, though. She says, anyone wants to
So, I didn't get the point.
comment? Probably this was just after I said the verses doesn't put the weight on your shoulder. Like, it's not that you have to learn something or you have to achieve something, but your Lord will teach you something. So probably she was saying, like, Ayşenur, if you'd like to speak, please go ahead. I'm just trying to speculate on your comment. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. So many balls have been thrown towards me in this discussion that I probably should speak at one point. But yeah, it was in reference to Birkanavi's comment about how, you know, it's a lovely thought and comforting too, thinking that, you know, it's like Adam didn't learn it on his own accord, but was taught, right? Because it's giving me the notion or understanding that I will be taught as well. You know, it's not something necessarily of my ability that I have to conjure up. But at the same time, I mean, I'm sure there's a degree of responsibility that's on me, and I may just be a terrible student that keeps choosing the wrong answer over and over again. I mean, I don't even know if this is necessarily a question, more of a comment, I suppose. Just that, you know, things can get pretty despairing either way, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Hi again.
Wa alaikum salam. Anyone wants to say anything about that? Like, there's one small thing I can maybe share is, I guess, the relationship between us and our Lord, as it's described in the Quran, it's, yes, like a teacher-student is one analogy, but it goes well beyond that. It's really so comforting. Like, even if you're a terrible student, like in Quran, he says, I will not leave you. Whatever you do, I will not leave you. He says, the verse that you were reading on Tuesday, there is nothing on the earth that we do not hold from forelock. Like, such a comforting verse. It says, whatever you are, I am there to guide you. If you do something wrong, I will tell you. Another verse says, all your sins surrounds you. Like, we will not, again, leave you alone. It's like, I don't remember the exact wording, I'm sorry for that. But it's about how our sins surrounding us. Like in a circle, like not letting us go, kind of. Again, such a comforting verse, saying that if you make a mistake, it will be around you. Like, it will not leave you alone, so that one day you will realize it's a mistake. We will not let you forget it. There will be, quote unquote, a punishment for that. So you are constantly being taken care of. With all your sins, with all your mistakes, He is always with you. So no matter how terrible you are as a student, He is the absolute teacher. Like, He will not leave you alone, whatever you do. Even if you try to deny Him, He will give you the, again, quote unquote, biggest punishment, not leaving you alone. I guess, like, what else we can ask for?
He is the Lord. I think that name goes along with what Yusuf's point was. He is the Lord, but he only becomes your Lord when you realize that life is a learning experience. So like the process itself is the key. Like, so he's teaching you through the experiences that you go through. Then you establish that like you have that kind of relationship that, okay, you are my Lord, and you like specifically design whatever I am going through in life. It is designed for my learning and for me to learn, and like it's a learning opportunity for me. Otherwise, if you don't take the life as such, Yusuf mentioned about evil, which brings the punishment. If you don't take life as such, and if you don't establish that kind of relationship with the Lord, then punishment comes into play as an answer to your attitude, like taking the event as an evil. So you, in a way, like you call upon yourself the punishment. It is not really him trying to punish you. In a simple statement, the pain or the punishment or suffering, whatever you want to name it, is because of your wrong perception of the event taking as something evil. And out of his mercy, he constantly reminds you that I am your Lord, and this is designed for you to learn and grow and progress and attain to the like higher level of like human being or be a true vicegerent on earth. But you are constantly mistaken, and you are constantly choosing the wrong answer of the question. And you should stop doing that to yourself.
Ashana, go ahead, please.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah, I think that's certainly, thank you for the comments. I think that's certainly some strong consolation, even for the most terrible student. Thanks again.
So I guess no matter how much we try, we cannot make justice to the importance of learning and names. So maybe we should say, for now it's enough, and go on with the other paragraphs. I'm waiting if there's any objections. It seems like, okay, let's continue, inshallah. Through the tongue of allusion, Almighty God, may His glory be exalted, is saying with these words, O sons of Adam, since as a proof of their superiority over the angels in the questions of the vicegerency, I taught your forefathers all the names, you too, since you are his sons and the inheritors of his abilities, should learn all the names, and in your position as holder of the supreme trust, demonstrate before all creatures your worthiness. Just one small comment. When he says, since you are his sons or girls, daughters, and the inheritors of his abilities, this what is called in Bible Genesis, yes. Sorry? Oh, I guess it makes perfect sense, like giving us such a story that there was one guy and then his spouse, and then all humanity came from this single source. Like, read as Nursi is reading now, that means like whatever we read in Quran, it's about us, because we are coming from the same source. Like it's our family, what is it, lineage or not? Lineage. Quran talks about our lineage. Like I am son of Adam. She is daughter of Adam. It's not about, the history of who gave birth to whom. It's about the lineage. It's about coming from the same source. It's about being the same. It makes perfect sense. Like, why a scripture would bother giving me, who was whose son or whose daughter? It's telling me that there's a link between you and them. Just like who's the son of Zechariah? Yeah. Just like there's a link between Yahya and Zechariah, and I'm talking about it in my book, there's a link between Yahya and you. It's the same lineage. So it's all about you. It's nothing else. There was someone who turned on mic. It was a lady's voice, maybe not. No, maybe it was a mistake. Okay. So if you want to say something awesome, sorry if I confused your voice with a lady voice. So you're definitely a masculine guy. So I'm sorry, it was my mistake.
No, I was like, the first sentence of the paragraph, again, he's talking about, the names being the proof of the superiority over the angels in the question of the vicegerency. And as Osman was saying that, do we really understand what that means? This question of the vicegerency. And I was thinking also based on, thank you for all the comments that everybody was making. I was trying to figure out also, how important it is to realize and make progress in the human side. As everybody, I know it was mentioned that, we are taught maybe from primary school that, what the letters, and we associate the letters with particular words. A is for apple, B is for banana, right? C for cat, all those things. We learn all those names. That's at that level. But then as we grow and older, and we still keep those in terms of higher level of maybe biological terms or, scientific terms, and we think that we know all those things with those names. And not maybe if we don't get the guidance or not really hearing what the office of prophethood is, we would never know and realize that all these names that we are learning and discovering actually are pointing to something. And they really, from the human side, there is something within me that I have, that I'm able to know that and learn that, what these names are actually pointing to. So, and this sentence about the superiority over the angels is pretty interesting also, as I see it, because I hear that often from like in discussions with people, and they say, we're not angels, that you cannot expect me to be like this or that, because as if, something angels is some state that humans are, can never achieve, although, and that alludes also to the fact that, that's a superior kind of state. It feels that way, at least to me. Or whereas the case is the other way, that, the potentiality that a human being has is, and in terms of knowing all the names, whereas knowing a single name, that maybe each angel, as the scripture describes, that each angel is a representative of a name. But then that tells me how the human being is really capable and knows, and to act as a vicegerent in this case, by knowing every single name within the potentiality. That is how it is included. So yeah, the superiority part was very interesting to me. That just reminded me of some conversations, and like a escape route, but that sometimes that we would use that. Yeah, that we are not. If I was this, then I would be an angel, but I'm not an angel. But we don't realize how important a human being can be. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Jazakallah. Osman, you were saying something about his comments, or you were just appreciating?
No, it was a good point that he tied that with the office of prophethood, because to a certain extent you can let's say in quotation marks, you can learn the names on your own, but tying all those names back to the point where they come from is only true possible through the prophethood.
Office of prophethood.
The office of prophethood.
Any other comments? Otherwise, I will keep reading. For the way is open to you to rise to exalted rank. For the way is open to you to rise to exalted rank, such as holding the highest positions over all beings in the universe, and for vast creatures like the earth to be subjected to you, and for vast creatures like the earth to be subjected to you. So what we understand from that, because at least at the superficial level, this is very similar to one of Bacon, Francis Bacon or someone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Saying that we should exploit everything in the earth. Like we should use them. We should extract everything, and not just the minerals, but everything, including knowledge and so on. As humans, we should just use them. We should, take control. Consume. Take control of everything. So now he's saying, for the way is open to you to rise to exalted ranks, such as holding the highest positions over all beings in the universe, and for vast creatures like the earth to be subjected to you.
I guess it depends on what we understand from subjugating the existence. So if my purpose is to become stronger in the universe, I guess I'm going to use the atomic bomb to become stronger. So I will abuse, and this is possible for human, to make use of the electrons, protons, whatever, to extract the tremendous amount of power in there. But if my purpose is to, as we have been talking since the beginning, learn about the purpose of my existence, then everything can be subjugated to me to become my sources of, if you like, information, or everything can become my teacher. So I guess this is how it happens when every child first learns how to read. So when your father is driving the car, you try to read the names of all the shops. This is how it was happening to me when I was a small kid. So first year in primary school, I am barely starting to learn reading. So I make use of the shop names as a means to teach myself reading. So now shop names are subjugated to me for the purpose of learning how to read. Likewise, the existence can become subjugated to me for training me about my purpose in this existence. So, and I guess putting now it into Quran's words in the very first chapter, I can say that we worship you, for instance, and we seek your help. Only from you we seek help. So when I say we, now I am using, that means if I'm truly saying this word, I'm already convinced that on behalf of all of them, I am speaking now. So I am subjugating them, taking them behind me, and now I am worshiping collectively to my maker. So this sort of, if I take subjugation as such, then yes, it also works this way, which makes more sense.
The other way around, I guess, it becomes very dangerous. Like we see such talks even religious circles. Nowadays, it's more in religious circles because, on the other hand, like a quote-unquote, let's say, liberal circles, whatever it means, they talk more about preservation of the earth and nature and so on. On the other hand, people with a religious background, they say, the earth is there to serve me. So I can do whatever I want. Like I don't have to worry about the global warming or worry about destroying the forests. They are there to serve me. So I can use them as I wish. But this is like killing your teachers. Yes, they are there to serve you, but you do not let them to serve you.
I think I was gonna mention the same point because I read like somewhere in a serious book like blaming, and the book was written for Christianity, not for Islam. It was blaming the religion for making the man like almost like a dictatorship over the rest of the creation that destroyed the creation. That's why like the book was suggesting that this is what religion is teaching, which is completely wrong. Like it's even against human nature. So how can we relate the truth? And it's a very fine line. Like man, it is true that like man has the unlimited potentiality to attain the utmost level, but at the same time, it has the potential to destroy it, right? And what really makes it different, again, I think it is like kind of hidden in the term is vicegerent. If somebody knows that like I am a vicegerent of the creator of this universe, it means that you are positioning yourself, including your ego, because it really boils down to that. Like thinking that like you have some sort of intrinsic qualities for yourself, that's why you are made like more important like than the other rest of the creation. So it boils down to the fact that if ego does really realize that you are just an vicegerent, which means that you are positioning yourself in the creation in relation to the maker of you and the rest of the creation, then everything becomes like a means for you to maintain and enrich that relationship with your Lord. Otherwise, it completely turns like everything upside down, and you then become a true like evil yourself to in terms of like destroying the rest of the creation and having that attitude that like you are the Lord as if instead of God. And of course, like there is no limit to your potentiality, so you can, in your evil, you can go like as much as like your conscience allows you, if there is any.
Mm-hmm. I'm waiting if anyone has any comment. Otherwise, I will read the paragraph till the end. We have only a few minutes. And we don't have to stop discussing this week because the next paragraph is also related to this part. But at least let's read the entire paragraph. Come on, step forward, adhere to all the names and rise. Come on, step forward, adhere to all the names and rise. But your forefather was once deceived by Satan and temporarily fell to the earth from a position like paradise. Beware, in your progress, do not follow Satan, and from the heavens of divine wisdom, thus fall into the misguidance of nature. Continuously rising your head and studying carefully my most beautiful names. Make your sciences and your progress steps by which to ascend to those heavens. Then you may rise to my dominical names, which are the realities and sources of your sciences and attainments, and you may look to your sustainer with your hearts through the telescope of the names. Lots of things to discuss. Just one point, the first sentence that I read, he says, come on, step forward to adhere to all names. I guess this somehow, is from one aspect, points to the balance. Like, do not go after just one name, like power or success or beauty. Do not just go after that. Adhere to all names. Don't forget the justice as well.
It's a little bit interesting translation here, because in the original text, author is as if saying, come on and adhere to one of my names and rise. I mean, as if one of, meaning that each of you pick one of it. Birer ismime yapışınız çıkınız.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Exact opposite of what you said.
Exactly. That's why I'm silent for this moment.
So, I mean, it's not necessarily negating people, let's say, rising with 2 names, 3 names, whatever. But I guess showing a way to, for example, you might end up being an engineer, or another one might end up being a artist. But whatever you are granted more, given more, adhere to it. Because as if you are predisposed to be an expert, quote unquote expert of this name. So adhere to it and rise, but, and then he follows putting some warnings. Yes, potentially we are given ability to interact with or be cognizant of all the names, but every person is more open to one of the names, and practically this is how we are seeing it. Yeah, there had been polymath in the history, and nowadays, okay, yeah, you might be a scientist and at the same time you might be blowing nay, like Ney's and Tevfik, so good. But this is a rare talent. So in general, people are just doing one. So
I don't know if they are like 2 contradictory points though.
not necessarily contradictory, but what I'm trying to say is text is as if primarily talking about take one of it and walk in that way, in that direction. The other one's, I mean, much more comprehensive for sure, continue with all the names and try to keep the balance. A very correct point, yes.
Because like in the Sufi tradition, actually that's like what they refer to reach the kemalat, or like the ultimate
perfection.
Yeah, the perfect, yeah,
Nirvana.
to reach the perfect like state of human being is understanding all the names and seeing the balance of all the names and maintaining that balance within yourself.
So we have 3 minutes.
I don't know if there will be a discussion on this next week. I just want to point out something that
Again, like the next part, a significant point, an important mystery is still about this verse. So we will definitely continue discussing this verse.
it's just going to be very quick.
Yeah, please.
But I am jumping forward. And you may look to your sustainer with your hearts through the telescope of names. That's a very interesting statement.
And I guess another interesting part that we should discuss here is deceived by Satan and temporarily fell to the earth from a position like paradise. And also in the next sentence, in your progress do not follow Satan, and from the heavens of divine wisdom fall into the misguidance of nature. What does it mean to be in the heavens of divine wisdom? What does it mean to fall into the misguidance of nature? I guess this in here is as if interpreting the verse of fall of Adam. What shall I understand from fall of Adam from paradise? And what does it mean that heaven was in paradise, or heaven? What does that even mean? Because as if he is saying, here and now you can rise to the paradise or heavens, you can fall to earth. So we can talk about those concepts next week.
Another points that you think we should definitely talk next week? Or maybe some questions to be answered for next week? Abdurrahman, it's your turn now.
I have a question for next week.
Yeah, please.
I'll ask it next week. Now?
Oh, yeah, please go ask and then remind us next week.
I was just thinking, so it says, adhere to all the names, but like beware of Satan and falling down and being deceived. I was thinking that Prophet Adam alayhi salam was taught all the names, and then later on he went and was deceived. So there's a prophet that was taught all the names, and then he was deceived and he fell down. So as far as I can tell, being deceived is a name. And I'm sure if like the one who guides is a name of God, then I'm sure the one who deceives, not deceives, but misguides is also a name, you know. So I kind of, I don't see, like here he says like but, or like he makes like almost seem like a contradiction to the divine names is to be deceived by Satan. But as far as I can tell, by Hazrat Adam being, or Prophet Adam being taught all the names and then being deceived, it's almost like a name itself, the act of being deceived by Satan.
سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.